This is the headliner, the Kydex headliner, and one of the things I'm doing is I just run a wire for it. But I've got these power supply marine units. This is a 12-volt power supply, like a cigarette lighter, only it's just for power supply, not a cigarette lighter. And then this one is a USB port. With all the stuff we got now, phones and my boss has headsets that are wireless headsets that use a USB charger to charge up the batteries on it. I figured it would be a good idea to have some power back there available to the back seat anyway. So I'm going to mount these in here, and I looked at different places. I was originally going to put them over here on the left hand side, and that's where, you know, most of the stuff comes up on that side, all the wire bundles and stuff like that. And I was going to try to run it along with one of the wire bundles I've got already for the aft position light and the beacon, but I didn't like the way they have to fish the wire up through. It's got to go past all of the trim cables and the flap control cable, and I didn't like the way I could have fished it through there, but I didn't like the way it the chance of it rubbing on one of those cables or something else. So the other thing to do is run it over on the right side, and I've got wires going down the right side that I put in for the ELT. So anyway, I've got that bundle already in there, and so I ran this wire. It'd be just a low voltage power switch, just 3 amps, and so I'll run that wire back with that bundle. And what a pain in the butt it is I used this small cable clamps on there, and it was a real pain trying to feed that wire in there with them other 2 wires already in there. But I got that done. The other thing on here is this fuel line goes across here and comes down right past here, and I didn't really like having a power outlet right there where the fuel line goes. It would have cleared, it would have been fine, but this side over here, the fuel line goes by way up here, and I can put that down here, and it's way below the fuel line, so that shouldn't be a problem. The other thing I'm going to do is on this door here to access the back, I've got some of these Southco fasteners with a bail on them, a ring, that I'm going to put in here to make it easy. So you don't, I want it so you don't have to crawl back in there with a dime or a tool or anything to open that up. A guy, if he wants to get back in there, can just pop these open. And I found these on eBay. These were the first one I found, and I like these because they're stainless steel, but they're 260s, which means they're really long here in this, and I would have had to build up a whole bunch of material back there to get these to close in tight. Nobody else had them, and nobody had any stainless steel ones, but I kept searching eBay, and I finally come out with some shorter ones. These are the 160s here, and these are 140s here. So one of the 2 of those will work on that a lot better than the 260s. So I've got to punch a hole in here. There's a metal aluminum strip goes behind this. So I've got to punch a hole in that for a clearance hole for the Southco fastener, the receptacle, and rivet it in, and then I can put those fasteners in there. I've had one of these little punches. It's a Chinese copy of the Roper Whitney number 5 junior punch, and I bought one of those many years ago, and I've been real happy with it. It works pretty good. So I saw these bigger punches that they had, and Harbor Freight had some. I think the Chinese still have them out there, but Harbor Freight, I guess, doesn't carry it anymore. So I bought one of these. This is a large punch, and it's number XX, and it's a copy of the Roper Whitney XX. Anyway, I bought one of those. I did a video on it here a while back, and it works, but I'm not real happy with it. The punches aren't very precise on it, so they drag and they hang up. If you don't get them aligned perfectly and whatnot, they don't work very well. And so I decided maybe I would like to find one of these Roper Whitney XXs, and so I started looking online for them, and they're pretty spendy. There's guys that got them on eBay, and you know, a couple $100, $300. Seen some on sale, used ones and whatnot for 180, 190. I finally found one. This one was like $130, and it's just like brand new. And so I grabbed it. I was hoping to get one with a bench stand on it. They have a stand that you can mount to the bench and put this in, and then you can operate it. Hold your material in with one hand and squeeze with the other hand, but this one didn't have that, and those things cost about 50 to 80 bucks on their own, so I probably won't get one. But I've had this for a few weeks now, and I'm going to use it to punch the holes in this Kydex panel, in this headliner panel for those Southco fasteners, and it'll be a lot easier than drilling them out. This will be my first time using it anyway. It's a lot better quality than that Harbor Freight one. You can tell by looking at it that it's finished a little better. The casting is a little better on it. So anyway, this will be my first try with it, so we'll see how it goes. I've got my marks on there, and center that die on that mark, or that punch on the mark. There we go. Oh, that's not going to do it. It won't go through the Kydex and the aluminum together. Move that die in there a little bit farther, so maybe I got a little more leverage on it if I get that lever down there a little closer. There it went. Okay. Okay, I just needed to screw this die down far enough that I could get these handles closed up, get some leverage on it. Okay, I've got those holes punched out. Thing works. Well, we got the Southco fasteners in there. I got the receptacles riveted on, and then I want to put the bolts in there, the screws in there. And if I put these little anti-wear rings on, then neither one of those 140s, the 140s like this or the 160s would fit. So I tried the 260s that I bought and first, and they were too loose. Even with that, they fit not too bad with that plastic wear washer underneath them, but they were still too loose. But I put a number 5 stainless steel washer on them and they fit just right. The other thing about those that is nice is that these, when they fit in here, these 160s and 140s, when they would tighten up, these little bails would be sideways on them, and on these 260s the bails are down on them. I like that a lot better. So I've got the holes cut and nut plates put on to hold this bezel for the auxiliary power supply. I've got of course a 12-volt power supply here and USB power supply here, and they fit in there just like that. So this bezel screws on. These edge of these holes for these mounts here are so close to the edge of these relief holes for this that I didn't trust them to hold, and I wasn't going to put them in bare with nuts anyway. I figured on putting nut plates in there, but I used, instead of using a regular nut plate that would have gone to either side here, I used these one-legged nut plates like this. These are number 6s, and that way they can extend out into this undamaged area out here and give plenty of support for that. I don't have a jig for drilling these, but what I did was I marked out my holes. You can see the marker in there in the holes. I marked out the holes, and I drilled them out with a number 27 drill bit, and then I took these nut plates and I just mounted them on there with a number 6 screw, and then drilled the holes out for them. That's what I used for a jig, and we've got them riveted in. So that thing is done. Now I'll take some number 6 screws and mount this thing in here. Well, there's the auxiliary power supply for the back seat with the back end all mounted up. I did make a little bit of a mistake on that. I thought those nut plates were number 6s, and it turned out they're number 8s, so I had to get a relief driver, like a number 17 bit, and relieve those holes out for the number 8 screws, and then dig out some number 8 screws. On these one-legged nut plates, one of the rivets sticks out past the bezel, so it wasn't covered up on it. So I took a little bit of black paint and painted over them. It looks pretty bright right now, but it should, once it dries out, it should fade. And then I took some of that, and I've got all these rivet heads here exposed on this upper panel that I put in, this aluminum plate on this Kydex here on the top of where this door opening is, and those were all exposed. They'll be covered up by the door when the door is closed, but since I was doing it, I figured I'd go ahead and cover them up. What I did was I found these this little paint pen, and it was kind of spendy. I could have bought a little teeny, 8 ounces or whatever of paint for the same price as this pen, so I could have got 5 times or 10 times as much paint as what I get in this pen. But the pen is pretty handy for touching up these little spots here that you could use and I have used a little model paintbrush and stuff for that, but this pen works pretty good for that, for touching those spots up.